Black belt asked black lady to fight as a joke. What she did next silenced the gym. The sound of heavy bags being pummeled echoed through the martial arts gym as sweat dripped from determined faces. It was just another Tuesday evening training session at Master Chen's academy. But what happened next would become the most talked about moment in the gym's 20-year history. A moment that would teach everyone present a lesson they'd never forget about assumptions, respect, and the danger of judging someone by their appearance. In the corner, adjusting his freshly tied black belt with a kind of arrogance that made everyone uncomfortable, stood Marcus Thompson. 6 feet 2 inches of muscle and ego, Marcus had earned his black belt just 3 months prior and hadn't let anyone forget it since. He strutted around the gym like he owned the place, constantly looking for opportunities to demonstrate his supposed superiority over the other students. On this particular evening, as the advanced class was winding down, Marcus's eyes landed on someone who had just walked through the door. She was a petite African-American woman in her late 30s, maybe 5'4" at most, wearing simple workout clothes and carrying a small gym bag. Her name was Angela Washington, and she had called earlier asking about visiting the gym while she was in town on business. Marcus nudged his training partner and smirked. "Look at this," he said loud enough for half the gym to hear. "Looks like we've got ourselves a tourist who thinks she can hang with real martial artists." Angela quietly approached the front desk, speaking softly to the receptionist about observing a class. She moved with a calm grace that went completely unnoticed by Marcus, who was too busy entertaining his audience with crude comments about people who didn't belong in serious training facilities. Master Chen, the 60-year-old founder of the academy, was in his office handling paperwork when he heard the commotion. He stepped out to see Marcus gesturing dramatically toward Angela, who was now sitting quietly on a bench, simply watching the students practice their forms. "You know what?" Marcus announced, his voice carrying across the entire training floor. "I bet our visitor here thinks martial arts is just like what she's seen in movies. All flashy moves and dance like choreography." He turned directly toward Angela, his tone dripping with condescension. "Hey there. Would you like to step onto the mat? I could show you what real fighting looks like. Don't worry, I'll take it easy on you." The gym fell silent. Every student stopped what they were doing. The only sound was the whir of the ventilation system and the distant hum of traffic outside. Angela looked up from her phone, her expression calm and unreadable. "I appreciate the offer," she said quietly, her voice steady and measured, "but I'm just here to observe today." Marcus wasn't satisfied with that response. He was feeding off the attention, drunk on what he perceived as his own dominance. "Come on, don't be shy. I promise I won't hurt you. It might be fun for you to experience what real martial arts training feels like. Think of it as a free lesson." Before we continue with what happened next, I want to know where you're watching this from. Drop a comment and let me know what country or city you're tuning in from. And if you're enjoying this story so far, hit that subscribe button because trust me, you're going to want to see how this unfolds. Master Chan stepped forward, his weathered face showing clear disapproval. "Marcus, that's enough. Ms. Washington is a guest in our facility, and you will treat her with respect." But Marcus was beyond listening to reason. He had an audience, and in his mind, he was the star of the show. "Master Chen, I'm just trying to be welcoming. She came to a martial arts gym, right? She must want to see what we're all about." Angela stood up slowly, setting her phone aside. When she spoke, her voice remained calm, but there was something different in her tone now, a quiet strength that made everyone pay attention. "You know what, Marcus? You're absolutely right. I did come here to see what you're all about." She paused, looking around the gym at all the faces staring at her. "I accept your challenge." The gym erupted in whispers. Some students looked excited, others appeared concerned. Master Chan stepped forward again, clearly wanting to intervene, but Angela raised her hand gently. "It's okay," she said to Master Chan. "Sometimes the best teaching moments come from unexpected places." Marcus practically bounced with excitement. "Awesome! This is going to be great. Don't worry, everyone. I'll make sure she doesn't get hurt." As they walked toward the center mat, Marcus continued his commentary. Now, I'm going to show you some basic defensive positions. The key is to keep your guard up and try not to panic when I come at you. Remember, this is all about controlling distance and— Marcus, Angela interrupted quietly, before we begin, shouldn't you ask about my experience level? You know, just to make sure you're taking the appropriate precautions. Marcus laughed, the sound echoing off the gym walls. Experience? Look, I don't want to be rude, but I can tell just by looking at you that you've probably never been in a real fight in your life. I've been training for 8 years. I think I can handle adjusting my technique for a complete beginner. Angela nodded slowly. 8 years. That's impressive. And you're right about one thing. I've never been in a real fight. She began stretching her shoulders, simple movements that looked almost casual. Fighting and competition are two very different things, don't you think? Something about the way she said it made a few of the more experienced students exchange glances. There was something in her tone, in the way she moved, that didn't match Marcus's assessment of her as a helpless beginner. Competition? Marcus scoffed. Oh, you mean like those point sparring tournaments where people barely make contact? That's not real fighting. That's just playing tag with your hands. Angela finished her stretching and stepped onto the mat. For the first time since entering the gym, she looked directly into Marcus's eyes. You're absolutely right. Point sparring is just playing tag. She settled into a fighting stance that was so subtle, so natural, that most people in the gym didn't even notice she had assumed it. But who said anything about point sparring? Master Chen's eyes widened. He had been training martial artists for over 40 years, and he recognized something in Angela's posture, in the way she distributed her weight, in the calm confidence radiating from her entire being. He started to step forward, but Angela caught his eye and shook her head slightly. "Don't worry, Master Chen," she said without taking her eyes off Marcus. "I'll be careful." Marcus assumed his fighting stance, which looked impressive to the untrained eye but was actually quite rigid and predictable. "Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to throw some light punches, and you try to block them. If you can do that without falling over, we'll move on to some basic kicks. Ready?" Angela simply nodded. Marcus threw his first punch, a slow, telegraphed jab that he was clearly holding back on. It was the kind of technique you might use when teaching a child. Angela moved just slightly, and the punch missed by inches. Marcus threw another, then another, each one missing by smaller and smaller margins. "Hey, you're actually not bad at this dodging thing," Marcus said, genuinely surprised. "But eventually you're going to have to actually engage. You can't just run away forever." That's when Angela did something that made every person in that gym question everything they thought they knew about martial arts. She didn't throw a punch. She didn't throw a kick. Instead, she did something so simple, so fundamental, that it was beautiful in its elegance. She stepped forward. It was just one step, but it was perfectly timed, perfectly placed, and it completely destroyed Marcus's rhythm. Suddenly, he was too close to throw effective punches, his stance was compromised, and he was off balance. He stumbled backward, trying to regain his composure, but Angela followed him, staying just inside his optimal range. "What the—" Marcus started to say, but he was too busy trying to reset his position to finish the sentence. Angela still hadn't thrown a single strike, but she was completely controlling the engagement. She moved like water, flowing around Marcus's attacks, always staying just where he didn't want her to be. It was like watching a master chess player toy with an amateur, except this was happening in real time, with real consequences. Marcus threw a wild haymaker, the kind of punch that telegraphs itself from 3 zip codes away. Angela stepped inside it, and suddenly her hand was on Marcus's chest. Not pushing, not striking, just resting there. But somehow, that simple touch completely disrupted his balance, and he found himself sitting on the mat, looking up at her with confusion written all over his face. The gym was dead silent. Angela extended her hand to help Marcus up. "Are you okay?" Marcus took her hand, more confused than hurt. "How did you— What just happened?" "You lost your center," Angela said simply. It happens to everyone when they're focused on impressing an audience instead of paying attention to their opponent. Marcus got back to his feet, his face flushed with embarrassment and growing anger. Okay, that was a lucky move. Let's try this again, but this time I'm not going to hold back. Master Chan started to step forward, but Angela caught his eye again. This time, her expression was different. There was something in her eyes that made the old master nod and step back. Marcus, Angela said quietly, before you decide not to hold back, maybe you should ask yourself if you're really prepared for that level of engagement. What's that supposed to mean? Marcus demanded. Angela assumed her fighting stance again, and this time, everyone in the gym noticed. It was like watching a switch flip. Her entire body language changed. She went from looking like a casual observer to looking like a predator who had just decided to stop playing with her food. It means, she said, her voice still calm but now carrying an undertone of steel, that up until now I've been holding back too. Marcus threw his first serious punch, putting real power behind it. Angela moved, and the punch sailed past her face by millimeters. But this time, she didn't just dodge. This time, she countered. Her response was so fast, so precise, that most people in the gym didn't even see it happen. One moment Marcus was throwing a punch, the next moment he was on the ground again, this time with Angela's foot resting lightly on his chest, her hands positioned in a way that made it clear she could have ended the encounter in a dozen different ways if she had chosen to. "Do you yield?" she asked quietly. Marcus looked up at her, and for the first time since she had entered the gym, he really saw her. He saw the calluses on her hands. He saw the way her muscles moved under her skin. He saw the absolute control she had over every aspect of her body and his. "I yield," he whispered. Angela stepped back and helped him up again. This time, when Marcus took her hand, it was with genuine respect. "Who are you?" he asked. Angela smiled for the first time since entering the gym. "My name is Angela Washington. I'm a 3-time world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a 2-time national champion in Muay Thai, and I've been training in various martial arts for 22 years. I'm also a certified instructor and the head coach for the women's national team." The gym erupted in murmurs of amazement and embarrassment. Marcus's face went through several shades of red as the full weight of his assumptions crashed down on him. "But more importantly," Angela continued, "I'm someone who believes that martial arts should teach us humility, respect, and the wisdom to know that we never stop learning. The moment we think we know everything, the moment we assume we can judge someone's abilities by their appearance, that's the moment we stop growing as martial artists and as human beings." She turned to address the entire gym. "I didn't come here to embarrass anyone. I came here because I heard great things about Master Chen's academy and wanted to see it for myself. What I found was a gym full of dedicated students and one young man who needed to learn that strength isn't about dominating others. It's about having the discipline to control yourself." Master Chan stepped forward, bowing deeply to Angela. "Master Washington, it would be an honor if you would consider teaching a seminar here. I think all of our students could learn from your wisdom." Angela returned the bow. "I would be honored, Master Chen." She turned back to Marcus, who was still trying to process what had just happened. "Marcus, you have good technique and clear dedication to your training. But technique without wisdom is just elaborate violence. True martial arts mastery isn't about proving you're better than others. It's about becoming better than you were yesterday." Marcus bowed deeply, his earlier arrogance completely gone. "Master Washington, I owe you an apology. I was disrespectful, and I made assumptions that were completely wrong. Would you be willing to teach me?" Angela smiled. "We all make mistakes, Marcus. The question is whether we learn from them. Yes, I'll teach you, but first, I want you to spend the next week thinking about why you felt the need to challenge me in the first place. Real learning starts with honest self-reflection." As the evening wound down, students approached Angela one by one, asking questions, seeking advice, and expressing their gratitude for the lesson they had witnessed. Marcus stayed after everyone else had left, helping to clean the gym and clearly processing the events of the evening. "Master Washington," he said as he was finishing wiping down the mats. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course. When you first walked in here, you must have known I was going to underestimate you. You could have said something, could have told me about your background. Why didn't you?" Angela considered the question carefully. "Because telling you wouldn't have taught you anything. You would have just adjusted your behavior superficially, without examining the underlying assumptions that led to it. Sometimes the most powerful lessons come from experiencing the consequences of our choices, rather than just being told about them." Marcus nodded slowly. "I have a lot to think about." "That's the beginning of wisdom," Angela said. "The willingness to question yourself, to examine your assumptions, and to remain open to learning from unexpected sources." As Angela prepared to leave, Master Chen approached her with a proposal that would change the trajectory of the gym forever. "Master Washington, I know you're only in town for a few days, but I have a proposition for you. Our gym has been struggling with issues of respect and humility among some of our advanced students. Would you consider conducting a week-long intensive seminar? I think the lessons you could teach go far beyond fighting techniques." Angela looked around the gym one more time, her eyes settling on Marcus, who was still quietly reflecting on the evening's events. "You know what, Master Chan? I think I can rearrange my schedule." The seminar that followed became legendary in the martial arts community. Angela didn't just teach techniques. She taught philosophy, respect, and the true meaning of strength. Students came from other gyms, other cities, even other states to learn from the woman who had silenced an entire gym with grace, skill, and wisdom. Marcus became one of her most dedicated students, and over the following months, he transformed from an arrogant show-off into a respectful, humble martial artist who embodied the true spirit of the disciplines he practiced. He would later say that the most important lesson he learned wasn't about fighting. It was about the danger of assumptions and the importance of approaching every person with respect and openness. The story of that Tuesday evening spread throughout the martial arts community, becoming a cautionary tale about the dangers of judging others by their appearance, an inspiring example of how true masters handle disrespect with dignity and wisdom. Years later, when students would ask Angela about that night, she would always say the same thing: "I didn't defeat Marcus that evening. His assumptions defeated him. I just helped him realize it." And that's the power of true mastery. Not just in martial arts, but in life. It's not about proving you're better than others. It's about helping others become better than they were before. It's about responding to disrespect with dignity, to assumptions with truth, and to challenges with wisdom. The gym that night learned a lesson that extended far beyond the mat. They learned that strength comes in many forms, that wisdom often wears humble clothes, and that the most powerful victories are the ones that leave everyone better than they were before. So the next time you're tempted to judge someone by their appearance, remember Angela Washington and that Tuesday evening at Master Chen's Academy. Remember that every person you meet has a story, has skills, has wisdom that might surprise you. And remember that true strength isn't about dominating others. It's about having the courage to examine your own assumptions and the wisdom to grow from what you learn. If this story inspired you or taught you something valuable, make sure to subscribe for more incredible stories like this one. And let me know in the comments what lesson you took away from Angela's incredible display of grace under pressure. Sometimes the most powerful victories are the ones that don't look like victories at all. They look like teaching moments that change everyone involved for the better.